So first of all, let's look at the numbers here. Losses perhaps narrower than feared, but under the hood, this is a company in crisis and probably a quarter to forget for Boeing.
Yeah, certainly. It's another difficult quarter for Boeing, and I think we've had several difficult quarters, and we're probably going to have several more before they really start to emerge from the woods on this one. It was characterized by a shortfall in deliveries owing to that problem with the door blowout, which has basically caused the FAA to restrict Boeing's deliveries until they get their production house in order. And this is going to be a real overhang for cash flow and revenues.
One of the key questions for the market right now is whether or not this new management team that's coming in is going to be able to address the quality and production issues at the company. What's your view?
It's certainly going to be the biggest job in aviation, turning Boeing around. And you'll recall that Calhoun and his team was brought in to really fix Boeing with the 737 MAX crisis. So they're leaving the company with crisis. So not only do they have to fix the current production issues, not only do they have to get the revenue and the profitability back on track, they also have to create a new strategic vision for Boeing in a very difficult competitive time for the airline development industry.
Absolutely. And as the market narrative around Boeing continues to be weak and also deteriorate here, given the lack of progress on addressing some of these key issues. So when you dig into these numbers, what should we expect in terms of production and deliveries towards year end? Is Boeing going to be able to ride through this?
Yeah, a few things. Now, one of the bright spots in the earnings was that they are making progress in delivering like all these 787s and 737s they have in inventory. And when they deliver these like 120 aircraft, I think it is, over hopefully until the end of the year, this will give them a bit of a revenue boost. So that's a positive. Now, the key thing is going to be at the end of May, this quality program that the FAA is assessing might give them a go-ahead to actually start increasing the production rate again. So right now they're restricted, but hopefully they can start increasing production.
Okay, and we talk about production and quality issues. How's the supply chain looking?
Supply chain is very difficult for the industry right now, not only for Boeing but for Airbus. And this is also the lingering effects of the pandemic. A lot of these smaller suppliers, these kind of mom and pop shops that are integral to that supply chain, really struggled throughout the pandemic. And if you just it's like the straw that breaks the camel's back. One small thing can delay a whole process, a whole aircraft even.
What about with Boeing's defense business? This also appears to be a bright spot in the earnings release, but is it enough to offset the other broader concerns?
Yeah, defense business is doing okay. They were profitable this quarter, which was good. But the issue with them is, and they had a sale of F-18 Super Hornets, which actually came as a bit of a surprise a few weeks ago. So, they seem to be doing okay, but still there's a number of issues with that defense business as well. Like, they've had a lot of, overhang from these fixed cost contracts they negotiated with the Pentagon, and Boeing has really struggled with these contracts. They've taken a lot of charges against it. So the defense business is doing okay, but still some way to go as well.
Okay, so issues in the supply chain, Boeing still working on its own books. What does all of this mean for Airbus?
Airbus. Now, Airbus is doing pretty well right now because Airbus has got this massive order book, and of course, they're really taking a lot of market share from Boeing, especially in the key narrow-body space. Aircraft like the A321neo, the A321neo LR, these long-range narrow-body aircraft. Boeing just doesn't have anything that competes with these right now. So Airbus is really cleaning up right now. The issue is, airlines can't really change to Airbus because if you order an Airbus aircraft, it could be years before you take delivery of it. So airlines are kind of in a quandary right now about who they take. So yes, it's a positive for Airbus, but still, can they really capitalize on it?
Yeah, indeed. And you speak to the airline CEOs and they say, look, we'd love to have more aircraft. We'd love to be able to bring prices down for the flying public, but we can't get those planes in time. On that topic, where do you expect the next wave of demand to come from, and who's actually ordering and buying these planes?
Well, certainly we've seen India order a bunch of airliners recently. So India is kind of seen as the next big air travel market. They're talking about switching people over from trains and so forth. So that's going to be the real big dynamic market. But then you see a lot of aircraft going into places like Saudi Arabia, the Middle East, Turkey, these countries. So you're going to see a lot of capacity coming into the market. So I think the airlines see these as really big areas. But you have a lot of airlines coming in to chase the same passenger group. So maybe that'll put some pressure on yields for these big carriers, especially in that Middle East part of the world.